Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Cool. So, before we get started, as it's customary, I would like to acknowledge the gratitude of the Aurora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to the elders, both past and present. How's everyone feeling on this rather rainy day, rainy sunny day in Sydney? Does it always rain in Sydney?
On this weekend, it's I think the summer weather changes and then it's gonna be like 10 days rain, but it's not common then.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So I will quickly introduce myself. So my name is Bakkula. I was born in Sri Lanka, but when I was 12, me and my family we moved to the UK for a better life, better education for my sister and myself. So I grew up in England. I've carried on with my school. I finished studying there. I went to uni. I've got a degree in engineering, and I worked for the National Health Service in the UK for about 8 years. Yeah, so I was basically a young lad who was searching for happiness. So I did everything I wanted to do. I wanted to travel the world. I was a sports nerd, you can call it. I've loved sports. So I've been to various sporting events, and I thought the happiness I was searching for was in very much the external objects, like the outside. But then when I came across this Dhamma, thanks to, obviously, thanks to Lord Buddha and to my teachers, I realized that there's a way to be truly happy. There's a way to be, because there's no point in starting something you can't finish, right? So I realized that the only thing that we can finish is this, which is by understanding the truth, or like spiritual development. Like when you understand the truth, even Lord Jesus Christ said, the truth will set you free. And it does set you free. So that's what I realized through, Lord Buddha's Dhamma as well. Because it is my firm belief that, every religion at its core, at its purest, they all talk about the same thing, and it's all good, and they all speak of the truth. Yes, so that's a brief introduction about myself.
Ini ya perkenalan ya, Bhante Bakkula ini lahir di Sri Lanka tadinya, terus udah gitu besarnya di Inggris. Jadi beliau itu pindah ke Inggris itu pada usia 12 tahun, terus sekolah mengenyam pendidikan di sana, bekerja di sana sampai 8 tahun, lulus di universitas, bagian teknik, jurusan teknik, kerjanya di bagian di bagian kesehatan, di bidang kesehatan. Kemudian sebelum menjadi biku, beliau selalu mengira bahwa kebahagiaan itu selalu ditentukan dan selalu tergantung dari objek-objek eksternal, objek-objek luar. Kemudian setelah beliau mengenal Dhamma dan beliau menyadari bahwa kebahagiaan untuk membuat beliau sendiri menjadi bebas, membebaskan diri beliau sendiri itu datangnya dari internal atau dari dalam.
Let me ask you guys a question. What's your favorite item of food?
Food, Bhante?
Yes. What's your favorite item of food? You can just shout out at random.
Makanan kesukaan apa?
What do you like to eat? Noodles, pasta, pizza, cakes?
Soto it is
like a traditional. Okay.
Dish.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Right. So if you have a favorite, right, you can only really enjoy that dish, right? Because we want to think about it, right? Let's say you're hungry, and what's at home is a sandwich or some noodles, but your favorite is pizza. So then you can't really enjoy the noodles, can you? Or if you go to a restaurant, if they don't have your favorite dish, you can't really enjoy anything else, isn't it? Because just have one favorite and you don't really like, not you don't like anything else, but you think that when you can like really truly enjoy like, your favorite to the fullest, right? So should we have favorites in life or not? Probably a good idea not to have favorites, right? Because if you like everything equally, then you can enjoy everything, right? To the best that you can, right?
Kalau kita mempunyai suatu misalnya makanan favorit apa gitu ya, terus kita pergi ke restoran ternyata makanan favorit tersebut tidak tersedia, kan kita perasaannya kan nggak enjoy gitu, nggak menikmati karena makanan favorit kita itu nggak ada gitu ya, ya. Tapi jika kita tidak mempunyai makanan favorit tertentu, jadi semuanya itu sama rata. Jadi kan kita harusnya kita lebih menikmati semuanya, jadi makan apa aja bisa gitu.
Okay, and just before we start properly, I would like to thank for the organizers to inviting us, inviting me and devotees to be here. It's a very prestigious organization, and I can see that you're all very devoted. And I really appreciate it, and I hope I can share some wisdom with you. And also, some of you have been teaching our monks Indonesian back in Sri Lanka, so to help them to spread the Dhamma to you guys, and I really commend that, and it's all free of charge, which is unbelievable. I mean, in this day and age, you don't even get anything for free of charge, right? So, and it's a great investment that you're making for yourselves, because though it might look like a sacrifice, it's a great investment, because when they become fluent in Indonesian, it would only help you guys and for the people in Indonesia as well. We want to spread the Dhamma, that they can understand. Like because when someone speaks your mother tongue, it feels more, and then like it means more to you, right? So I think that's our intention as well, is to spread the goodness around the world. So you guys are making great efforts, and I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I think it will benefit you guys a great deal in the future.
It's been pleasure and prestigious for us to have you here in this rainy day. Thank you so much.
Okay. So the life that we live, or the life that we live on this pale blue dots, is a great mystery. It's a great enigma that we all can't solve, right? Because I'm sure at some point in our lives, we all have this question: what's my purpose in life? Like, who am I? Why am I here? But to put it simply, we all want to be happy, right? I mean, in other words, like, we don't want to suffer. We don't want to go through stress. We don't want to get angry. We don't want to live in fear. We don't want to, we don't want anyone to upset us, basically, right? So basically, what if I were to kind of summarize? So in Buddhism, right? So the ultimate goal that we are all aspiring to achieve is to attain something called Nibbana or Nirvana. By Nirvana, I don't mean the 90s boy band. I mean, it's basically, so for me, right? For us, Nibbana means it's having a mindset where you're okay with anything, right? It's so that like no one can no one can upset you. Like no matter what happens, you'll be okay with everything, because you know what the truth of the world is, right? Which we can explore later on in this talk.
Bagi kita semua, tentunya kita ingin tujuan hidup kita ingin bahagia. Menurut Bhante, kebahagiaan yang paling tertinggi itu adalah nibbana. Ya. Kebahagiaan nibbana itu tidak ditentukan oleh siapapun, terutama pihak luar, dan juga dengan mencapai nirvana sehingga kita tidak mungkin merasa marah gitu, tidak perlu marah dengan apapun, tidak bisa dipengaruhi dengan apapun.
Okay, so now let's discuss how we're going to go about achieving this happiness that we were searching for, right? So, what do most people do when it comes to achieving happiness? Like, what does most people think? Like, what do you guys think? Like, how do you become happy? Like, do you have any ideas? Like, what have you been doing so far in your life to achieve happiness? By happiness, I don't mean like, I want a pizza, so I'm gonna go to the shop, get it, and when I get it, I'm happy. That's in the interim, right? I mean like this constant feeling that's that's kind of like that's everlasting. That's the kind of happiness, or a better word might be fulfillment that we're all looking for. So what do most people do to achieve that? Most people would point to the outside, right? Like they would try to maybe go after things, right? Maybe go after money or property or yachts, people, etc. But we've all been doing that our whole lives, right? We've been trying to accumulate things. We've all been trying to hold things. But some of us here might have realized that happiness isn't quite there, right? Because if you were to take, like for example, the society has this idea that money equals happiness, right? So the more money you have, i.e., the wealthier you are, the happier you will become. So technically speaking, so according to that theory, the happiest man in the world should be Elon Musk or the richest. So is it Musk or Bezos? It kind of changes depending on stocks, right? I think it's, let's say, Musk. Do we think he's happy? Ma'am, you shook your head. You shook your head. Why do you think he's unhappy? Absolutely. He only sleeps for, I think, a couple hours every day, maybe like 3-4 hours every day. Like, if someone's happy, like, is that a sign of someone who's happy, who is relaxed, who only sleeps for, and he doesn't sleep in like one block. Like, when we sleep, right? We sleep for maybe 6 hours or 8 hours at a go, right? But what he does is that he takes power naps. I think he sleeps for 2 hours, like here and there, like a couple of times a day. That's how he sleeps. So does he seem like a happy man, happy person to you? No, right? Did you?
I think we can go on, Bhante.
Okay.
We can go on because that person
Oh,
is
okay. Okay.
doing the cooking.
Okay, perfect. If you need to stop at any point, please.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So the reason why I say he's not happy is because he has so much pressure on himself. There's so much on his plate. I've listened to his TED talk from 2019. Do you know what he said? His lifetime ambition is he wants to see 1 million people inhabit Mars, and that's his life's ambition. All right. So let's say he achieved that. Okay, he's a very ambitious guy. He's very driven. He's very passionate about what he's doing. And okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And let's say he's 52 now, I think 50. Or let's say he achieved that in about 10 years, right? Do you think he's going to stop there? No, right? Exactly. He's going to, hopefully by then, scientists are doing amazing research and they're making rapid progress. So they're already researching about Earth-like planets. So maybe by then we might have traveling at the speed of light to a certain extent, and maybe we can travel at 10th of the speed of light, and he might build another rocket to go to one of those Earth-like planets. And then his plan is probably to colonize that or like terraform that. So the point I'm trying to make is that by searching for happiness in the external, in the outside, what we've started is something that we can't finish. You will never be fulfilled by searching for happiness in external things, because it doesn't exist in the outside. That's why. And when you understand that, because that understanding comes from within, right? That knowledge builds up from within. Like listen to a Bhante or yeah, let's say that's how you come across it. When the knowledge builds within you, that's why we call it inner peace and not outer peace, because that understanding that will liberate you. That will make you realize that, okay, what I've been doing so far in life is pointless. But that's not to say that's, you're not going to be any less ambitious. That's not going to mean like you have to let go of everything. You have to let go of your partners and your children, and you need to go into the forest and meditate. That's not what I mean. It's like you simply understand what's happening in the world. So let's say if there's fire here. If I were to stick my hand in it, or if you were to stick your hand in it, or doesn't matter, it could be the Prime Minister of Australia, it could be the King of England. And if anyone sticks their hand in it, they will get burnt. Which is the truth about that's the characteristic of fire, right? It has the ability to burn, right? So when you understand that, let's say the fire is there, it's not causing anyone any harm, right? If you have to work with that fire, what you're going to do? Like, you will use some safety, right? That's it, because you know the true nature of it. That doesn't mean you're not going to stop using it. Let's say you have a job that's related to, using fire, for example. So let's explore this idea of, is the happiness really in the outside? And let's prove to ourselves that it's not really in the outside. And then we can work backwards, and we can work towards ourselves to see where it really is, right? So let me separate your world into two, okay? So there's a physical world, which is objects, the people, etc. And then you have the mental world, which is your thoughts. Okay, basically, yeah, that's your thoughts and your expectations, etc. Whatever happens within the mind, that's your mental world. So you have the physical world, you have the mental world. Obviously, you need something to interact with these two worlds, something to link the two worlds, right? So the interface, like your own computers, we have the interface, right? So you have the circuitry in the code in the background, and then you have obviously you who's using it, the user, and we use a screen which has the buttons and etc. where you can search for stuff, do whatever you need to get done. So your body is like the interface between the two worlds, because that's what you use to interact with the physical world and with your mental world. Right, so now let's explore if the happiness is really on the outside, right? So we all have houses, right? We all have property. So I'm sure there's a fence in your garden, right? Some of you have. Do you guys have fences in your garden? Some might do, some might not. If you have a fence in the garden, right? If there's a hole in the fence, in other words, if the fence was damaged, okay, what do? If the fence is damaged, what do? You fix it, right? And you use, if it's made out of wood, you would use wood to fix it. But whenever we want something, right? Whenever we have like a deep desire towards something, deep like attachment or craving towards something, that's is that a happy mind, or is that a mind that's suffering? That's not a happy mind, right? So basically, that's a damaged mind. So whenever our mind gets damaged, do we look for a solution from within, or do we look for a solution in the outside? We should be looking for it from within, but we look for it in the outside, right? Like when it comes to physical world, right? If that fence is damaged, we know that we need to get some wood and mend the fence, okay? Which we all understand and we kind of practice. So, but when it comes to mental issues, why are we looking for things in the outside? Should we not use the mind? Should we not change the way we think to mend the mind? Is there a point in getting things from the outside to fix the problem that's on the inside? Isn't that what we've been doing our whole life? I have a crave, like, let's say you have addiction towards something, let's say pizza, right? You have addiction towards pizza. You love pizza. You really like, you can't live without pizza, let's say. But is that what owns the pizza? Is it the mind or the body? It's the mind, right? Do we all agree? Because the body is not saying, oh, I want to eat a pizza, I want to listen to songs, I want to watch movies, I want to do this, I want to do bungee jumping. It's not the body who's saying it. The body only needs 4 things, right? Food and water, clothes to protect from the heat, the cold, etc. And protect from, and a roof over heads, and medicine when it gets, for any ailments, right? When it gets ill. So that's really what the body needs. So when it gets hungry, it just needs some food. It doesn't need a particular type of food. It's because we are trying to feed the mind and not the body. That's why this whole concept of binge eating, all these things come from. It's like, think of it this way, right? You all drive, right? You all have a vehicle. Do you fill up your vehicle every petrol station that you go past? No, right? What would happen to your vehicle if you were to do that? Exactly, disaster, right? So similarly, right? If you were to keep on eating whenever the mind wants something, what's going to happen to us? That's why, unfortunately, a lot of us have cholesterol, like diabetes, and all these kind of diseases that's caused by excessive eating.
Stomach ache, at least stomach ache one day.
Exactly, when you eat too much, exactly, you can't bear it, right? Yeah, exactly. So this is what we need to understand, folks, is that there's no point in seeking for solutions in the outside, in the external world, or in the physical world, for the problems that the mind has, because the body is innocent. Because when you eat the pizza, right? Let's say you have the pizza, where does it go to? Does it go to the mind? No, it goes straight to the belly, right? And the stomach, it's basically like the fuel tank. It can only take so much food that when it reaches a certain point, it can't take on anymore. So what we need to do is understand, we'll explore if happiness is in the external objects in further detail. I think that lady has arrived, so do you
I just summarize.
please?
Tadi Bante ngomong tentang kita itu sering salah paham antara pikiran kita sama tubuh kita, badan kita. Nah, misalnya kan kita misalnya orang misalnya dengannya pizza gitu ya. Dia bilang dia makan pizza baru dia merasa puas gitu. Tapi sebenarnya yang puas itu yang dipuaskan itu bukannya badan, cuma dia juga pikiran dia. Karena misalnya kita pun makan pizza atau makan nasi atau apa, kan perlu tetap kenyang juga. Cuma kan dia ngerasa puas itu cuma di ayaran dia ngerasa puasnya itu kalau makan pizza. Kita juga orang Indonesia juga gitu sih. Kalau nggak makan nasi nggak puas. Padahal makan nasi nggak orang apa aja semuanya sama aja, semuanya kenyang. Gitu. Maksudnya baca begitu. Dan sering salah paham.
Okay, so let's look to see. Okay, so you could be saying, I want to prove this to you, this theory that the happiness what you're searching for is not in the outside. Okay, like let's stick to the example of the pizza, right? What is a pizza made out of? Flour,
Vegetables,
meat, sauces, tomato sauce base, salt, etc., right? But I'm missing an ingredient. Where is happiness? We all seem to think happiness is in food, right? Like if you're addicted to certain type of food.
Yeah.
But what is the food made out of? I know when you cook it, like, you pour your heart and soul into it, you put your love into it, but doesn't actually physically in the food, right? I mean, I suppose, it's your energy that you transfer into it, so it might have some effect, but scientifically speaking, right? Like, logically speaking, right? Is happiness in the pizza? It's not, right? So, and if it was really in the pizza, right? The more you eat it, should you become, the more you eat it, the happier you should become, right? But what happens? Like if I were to make a deal with each and every one of you saying, okay, you can pick your favorite dish and I will give you that dish for the rest of your life, right? So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you want a snack, you had a snack on that too, okay? Are you gonna get fed up of it or with it, or are you gonna be happy? Or I might come back, let's say, in a few months' time, and then if you're all alive and well, then we can,
Continue.
yeah, we can, yeah, I can ask this question and get a response from you. So the more you eat it, the happiness or that relief that you experience, that keeps diminishing, right? Because in the first bite, yeah, you probably feel like, yeah, amazing, 100 out of 100. But the more you eat it, that gets less and less and less. And when it comes to like the 10th bite, that has gone down drastically, right? Dramatically, that's reduced. So was the happiness really in the pizza though? No, right? Like we proved it now, like scientifically. And if you really had that happiness that you're looking for, you eat it once and that's it, right? And then you'll be happy. It's like, and this is the other thing, like we can also apply this to people, right? Like for example, if you expect someone else to have your happiness, you should be able to go to that person, take it from them, and you wouldn't have to go back to them ever again, right? It's like if you're looking for, let's say, we all go to Kmart and we're looking for something, let's say, I don't know, let's say some bread or something like an item of like some kind of product. If let's say they really sell it, so they sell it, so we can go to them, take it, and come back because it was really there. But if the same thing were to apply with happiness or the contentment or the fulfillment, we should be able to go to a person and get it from them. But that's not the case, right? It's like if I had your favorite, like if I had your dream car, okay, you can come to me, pay me some money, and take it from me if I'm willing to sell it, because I had your dream car. But when it comes to the happiness, it is you can't expect it from another person because what they have is their happiness. Because happiness depends on certain, I mean, it depends on certain expectations, right? Like we have certain conditions. And this is also another problem, right? Because if I were to ask you, what would make you happy? What would make you ultimately like happy, like everlasting happiness, serenity, or the peace that you're looking for, peace of mind? You would say, oh, I would be happy if my job, or if I get promoted in my job, if I were to progress in my career, if my business was to do well, if I don't know, if my significant other was nicer to me, stays loyal to me, if my kids were to be very obedient, etc. So what you're doing is, or our happiness is, it depends on conditions, right? So in other words, it's conditional happiness that we are searching for. And do you not see a problem with that? Because let's say you have 10 conditions. If one of the conditions did not meet, then that's going to ruin your happiness, right? All the rest of the conditions can be perfectly fine, but that one condition doesn't go away. Let's say, your kids, let's say he or she didn't do well in the exams as well as you expected, then your happiness is ruined. But do you not want to get to a place where your happiness is not determined by any conditions? In other words, do you not want to strive towards, was that me? Okay. So do you not want to strive towards unconditional happiness? Isn't it? Shouldn't that be our aim? Right? So to understand unconditional happiness, we need to look from, so now that we understood that what we're searching for, the happiness is not in external objects. So let's now work within. So let's look within our mental world, right? So at work, right, you probably have meetings where you guys brainstorm. So whenever project comes about, you guys will brainstorm and you guys decide on a certain idea, right? So, but most of the time, right, when let's say we are all in a company, okay, and let's say you're the boss, okay, let's say we all come up with ideas, but you pick this gentleman's idea over mine, okay? But when that happens, a lot of us get upset, right? A lot of us get upset because the boss didn't pick my idea. He picked her idea or his idea. But let's say you are more, let's say he was someone who was junior to you, like, you're a more senior kind of person there, you have more expertise, let's say. But we get upset because of that. But do you really own the idea? If you were to think about it, right? Because if they were to cause, if it were to upset you, there's no point in blaming that person because that's not gonna sort your problem, right? So you need to look from within because whenever you point one finger towards the outside, there's three pointing towards you. So if you wanna, so the best thing to do is always to point the finger towards us, put the blame on us, but not in a like a negative view, but like take it constructively, right? So point the finger towards us and let's do a root cause analysis, right? How does an idea manifest in a mind? Okay, it's based on your experiences, your what you know, your knowledge, the people you associate with, how you feel on that day. So an idea is a result of when all those factors. It's a result of all those factors, all those causes, right? But if we were to replicate the same causes in his mind as well as this lady's mind, then aren't both of them going to have the same idea? Like if the causes were the same, let's say his experiences, so we matched all the causes. So they both have the same experiences, they both have the same memories, they both have they went through they feel the same way on the day. Then wouldn't they have the same idea? I mean, you probably been in meetings where 2-3 people have the same idea, right? So can you say that an idea belongs to me? Or it's just an idea, right? So when you understand that an idea is just an idea, it doesn't belong to anyone. It's whenever the right causes or whenever some causes align, an idea comes about, it manifests, right? So when you understand that, when you're at work, because when it comes to Buddhism, like in our monastery, especially, like, we like to look at it from a practical perspective. Because yes, we can study the books as much as we want, but if we can't apply that theory into a practical life and solve our practical solutions. Because like I said, I was in the UK, I had a good life, and I thought I was happy, but the reason why I became a monk is because I wanted to be happier, and I genuinely am. So let's apply this knowledge into practical solutions, practical situations. Sorry. So, is there a point in getting upset over picking his idea over mine? Not really, because I could have had the same idea given if the right causes were to align, right? So, and what you need to realize is that was probably the best idea for the company for that moment, and because at the end of the day, right, when you work in as a company or like in this organization, for example, I'm sure you guys have a committee and you guys have meetings to how to grow this organization. How can we get more members into this? How can we get more Bhantes in and to grow this and get bigger and better and spread the goodness like you guys are doing. So when you have those meetings and if you were to pick someone else's idea instead of yours, you need to take joy in the fact that it's something for the betterment of that organization. And because at the end of the day, we're all a team, right? We're all a unit, like especially here in Indonesian society. It will be something for the betterment of the organization. So we need to be happy in the fact that that the idea is probably better than mine, and that's it. It's just the idea. We shouldn't there's no point getting attached to it because it doesn't belong to anyone. And another common problem is that stress, right? We all feel the stress, especially at workplace, maybe even at home. So when we feel stress, like why do you think we feel stress? Again, is it because of something that's happening in the outside world? Or is it because something that's happening from within? you might think, oh, it's probably a bit of, it's outside, right? Because let's say I came to work on, so you would go to work tomorrow, right? So when you go to work Monday morning, there's a set of work that you have to do, okay? And then maybe towards the end of the day, your boss will come along and dump a whole load of more work on your table. And he or she will be like, okay, you have to finish this work before the end of the day. This is very urgent. And you get stressed. Is it because of the boss giving you the extra work? Is that because this is what people think, right? We think that it's because of the boss that we feel stressed, right? But let's really think about it, right? So let's, like I said, let's point the finger towards ourselves, okay? So we go to work, we have a to-do list, or you have a calendar of your appointments, etc., what you have to do. And you realize, okay, so this is all the work that I have to do today. And I can finish this work by the time, so if you do 9 to 5, by 5 o'clock, I can finish all this work. So you had an expectation to finish all the work at 5 o'clock. And you could leave work on time and you can go home and you can watch Netflix or play with your children or be with your family, etc. So you had, or you can go gym or whatever plans you had, you can do them. So you had that expectation, right? So because of those, when those expectations in your mental world, when they don't align with what's happening on the outside world, then there's friction. Then that's when you get upset. That's when you get angry. That's when you start blaming the boss. But in reality, there could be you might have a colleague who she doesn't mind getting the extra work. For her, she doesn't mind staying back behind a couple of hours and finishing it off. So it can't be because of the actions the actions of your superiors or of your boss that you feel that way, right? It's because of your expectations, right? But where do expectations come about? Expectations come about because of you have certain views in your mind that this should be this way. Work should finish at 5 o'clock. I shouldn't have to work beyond that. But is that the reality, or is that ignorance? That's ignorance, right? Because you can't really say, because you can't really predict, or you can't have set ways, like you can't have comfort zones, in other words, that things are going to be this way, or things should be my way. Again, this comes back to this idea of that's a condition that we've set upon ourselves, right? It's a condition that we put in place, but you can't control what's going to happen on the outside. It's like when you put, like if I were to take you back to your school days, we all learned about the fire triangle, right? So fire triangle is how fire is made. So when you put heat, fuel, and oxygen together, can you stop a fire from being manifested, for a fire from being created? No, right? So when a client comes to your company and gives you an urgent piece of work, then you have to do the work, because that's how the causes aligned at that point, right? So I think what I want you guys to do is, there's so much I want to tell you folks, but there's not much time. We have to finish soon. Yeah, we would love to come back and continue this further, but what I want you guys to understand is that it's because of the expectations that you have. That's what brings you a lot of pain, a lot of mental dissatisfaction, because you can't expect for satisfaction in the outside. And to finish off, I want you guys to understand that the life you've been gifted with, the human life that you've been gifted with, is very precious. Okay, Lord Buddha says how rare it is to be born as a human being. It is extremely rare. And you guys are extremely meritorious to be here in a country like Australia, to live a good life. So what I want you guys to do is to, liberate yourselves, because you have, when it comes to physical needs, you probably have money, you guys look, well off. So when it comes to all the sort of physical attributes and all that kind of worldly pleasures, let's call it, you have access to all of that. You can experience that the fullest. But you realize that, going back to Elon Musk, you can be the richest person in the world. You can amass all the wealth, you can build a great empire like Steve Jobs did with Apple. But what did he say at the end of the day? When I'm on my deathbed, there's no one or nothing to help me. So what I want you guys to realize is that what will set you free is the truth. It's understanding the truth. That's why, even Jesus Christ said, truth will set you free. And it is true. It is that knowledge, that understanding, that's what can help you in your moments of need. And as a human being, the reason why we're gifted with the ability to think, we can think and understand is because I can explain the same thing to a dog, but unfortunately, it's not going to understand it because it doesn't have the capability to think. So make the most of your human life, understand this truth. Happiness is not in the outside world. You have to generate it from within with the understanding of the truth, which is, the reason why we suffer is because of ignorance. It's because we don't know the true nature of things. The true nature of things is, Lord Buddha said, Hedum paticca sambhutam, hetu bhanga nirujjati. When causes come together, something will manifest. There will be manifestations. So you can't say this is thing. So you can't get attached to anything because there isn't anything to get attached to. If you know what I mean. Because if you were to take anything, right? If you were to take this piece of paper, and if I were to ask you to show me where, this is a bit of a deep point, but this is something for you to think about. If I were to ask you to show me where the piece of paper is, you might, okay, if you have bucket hands, if you have big hands, you might say, okay, this is the piece of paper. But isn't it just the raw materials? In other words, let's take something we can relate to. Let's say this glass of water, right? If I were to show to you, if I were to ask you, prove to me there's a glass of water here. You might grab it, but is there glass here? What's glass made of? Like silicon dioxide, right? It's sand basically, right? So really there is no glass. It's atoms or it's condensed energy or molecules at a very basic level. So this idea of a glass, this idea of fixed entities or units, this idea it's completely in our mind. It's not something that's really out there. So when you understand this, right, is there anything to get attached to? There is nothing to really get attached to, right? And because when we get upset with things or people because we think there are really things there. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't anything. There is something, but what we're expecting is in our head. But this is obviously that's a slightly deeper point. But if you were to come back a few steps, understand that what happens in the outside, those are just events. Your boss giving you some extra work, that's just an event. That's not something that, I'm sure she didn't plan to give you that extra work. It happened to be that you were the person that had to be given the work too. Okay? So this is what you need to understand. Happiness you're searching for is not in the outside world because outside is just objects. It's just atoms, and that's it. And it's the mind that wants stuff. Like whenever wanting arises, it's the mind that wants stuff. It's the mind that wants to have the pizza, to go, to do bungee jumping or to do some stuff, do skydiving or stuff like that. It's the mind that wants it. But why are you using the poor body to get what the mind wants? It can never satisfy the mind, right? So understand this. When the fence in your garden is broken, when it needs to be mended, you use wood or you use some materials to fix it, to mend it, which is the right thing to do. But when your mind is damaged, when the mind is suffering, when you're fearful, when you're upset, why look for things in the outside? You need to change the way you think and amend the mind. Okay, so your mind has been using your body as its slave, okay, as its puppet. So let's change roles, okay? So I want you guys to be the puppet master and not be the puppet anymore. So I think this is recorded, so if you want to re-listen to it, you can do so and sort of revisit some of the points that we've discussed. I mean, I want to do the best. I mean, ideally, I would have liked to given you all the knowledge I know. So I tried to squeeze in pretty much everything into short 45 minutes. So it might have felt heavy at certain points. I do apologize, but I just wanted to offer my best service from this rare opportunity that I've been gifted with. So yeah, think along those lines, folks. Again, remember why you were born as a human. You can understand the truth and you can be free forever. You can truly liberate yourself. Okay, so I think our time is at an end. So thank you very much. And yeah, do the good work that you're doing and do the chanting and because it will generate you a lot of merits. Because merits is like the currency which gives you access to the truth. It's like, when you go to consult a lawyer or you have to pay a consultation fee, right? So the merits, the power of merits that you've generated, that's the fee to receive the Dhamma. Okay? So whenever a Bhante comes to see you guys, when you have a lot of merits, more Bhantes will come to see you and they will impart this wisdom to you. So do a lot of merits, do stuff for the community. I'm sure you're already doing that. You guys can get together, raise some money and, feed the homeless or, become, when you give, because what you give is what you get. When you give to the community, when you give to the nature, when you help the ones in need, like, because for homeless people, if you guys can get together and offer them some food, for them, that's peace of mind. That's happiness for them. And if happiness is what you're searching for, and if you feel like you're missing it, or I'm feeling depressed, no matter what I do, I'm never satisfied. When you give that satisfaction, that peace of mind to someone else, then what do you think is gonna happen? You're gonna get that back. So keep these things in mind, I see a great team here, a lot of unity amongst you guys, so keep that going and do a lot of merits. And I'm sure, more Bhantes will come to see you and impart this wisdom. And yeah. And if I don't see you guys again, I wish you nothing but the best from the bottom of my heart and, all the best with your future endeavors. And thank you very much for spending your valuable time on a Sunday morning. You beat the rain to come here and hopefully you got something useful for me. And yeah, thank you very much.
Lunch.
Okay.
Lunch. For that is going to bow 3 times to express our gratitude for the Dhamma talk and then also for Bhante coming to hear this. I'm going to say that this say Okasa and then the rest is followed by Wandami Bhante. Okasa
Wandami Bhante.
May you all attain supreme bliss of Nibbana, and may you all achieve your peace and happiness and serenity in this very life itself.
Need to answer. Sure. Going to use the board.
Yes, I'll be using the